everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today. We would just like to give our thanks to the folks at Equation Technology for hosting this webinar today. We've enjoyed working with them over many years, and of course their clients and prospects. This session is going to be talking about a solution we call Resource Manager from Norming Software. And this is an application that allows us to incorporate the activities of employees who are not necessarily in Sage 300 on a day-to-day basis, but in operations. And this will give them the ability to conduct activities that get captured and then translated into a transaction within Sage 300 without them having to actually log in to Sage 300. So we can protect the security and privacy of our sensitive financial and accounting information. Our agenda is just to give you a brief background on Norming as a company and then do a solution overview on the Resource Manager application. And of course, in a 15-minute presentation, we're just going to be covering the highlights, and we would encourage you to reach out to your account manager at Equation Technologies to follow up if you'd like a specific one-on-one presentation. So to start off about Norming, we're a key ISV of Sage 300 and have been for over 20 years now. We're a gold level development partner, which gives us access to what they call the software development kit for Sage 300. And this allows us to build applications that are actually embedded within the Sage 300 environment, run in the same database, utilize the same LandPack licenses within the back office modules, and allow us to develop very tightly integrated solutions that share the same database. We work with over 900 business partners and 10,000 clients around the globe. Our key product, there's a couple of them really. There's the Norming Fixed Assets Solution, which is the flagship product for Norming. And if you keep hitting the arrow key, these will start popping up. And then of course there's Resource Manager, which is the application we're going to be focusing on today. There's a professional services automation solution, which is for professional services companies, which is 100% web-based. And then an HRMS solution, which is designed for international markets that need localized human resource management solutions. Norming has won a number of awards over the years. We won't bore you with all the details, but as you watch the slide flip through here, you'll see we've been Sage Development Partner of the Year in different geographies around the world over the last 20 years. So when we talk about Sage 300, Doug reviewed how Sage has continuously been improving the product by creating web screens, which essentially create a finance and accounting portal that you access in a browser on a server. If you look at Sage CRM, which is the next quadrant, that is a sales and marketing server or portal, if you will, to maintain and manage your marketing activities and your sales force. What's missing in this picture is an employee portal, which is where Resource Manager comes in. It gives you the ability to track the activities that have financial implications for your organization, for non-financial accounting, for non-financial people who are working and conducting activities such as travel, so they need to submit their expense reports, get them approved and reimbursed, entering timesheets for payroll or project job costing. And what we're focusing on today, creating purchase requests either through accounts payable or purchase orders so that you can create and manage all of the purchase transactions going through the organization. What we've done is we've tightly integrated that to create what we think is the missing link within Sage 300. So here's a schematic view of all the core modules within Sage 300. And Norming Resource Manager fills in that missing part of Sage 300, providing an employee portal. So as we start working through, you can keep clicking on these. There's the Procure to Pay, which is our purchase requests that include also PO receipts, PO invoices, AP invoices, and AP payments. And we'll also talk briefly about the AP automation, which is the ability to capture invoice documents and have those recorded as transactions without any manual entry. And then of course, travel and expense that we've touched on. There's inventory requisitions if you're consuming inventory through an IC internal usage. There are custom requisitions where you can authorize and approve updates to master files or GL post batches. There's project management tools, There's also time management, as we referred to, the web timesheet with leave tracking, vacation tracking, and attendance, as well as overtime calculations. So lots of different ways that we can incorporate operational activities within Sage 300 for all of these employees without them having to actually log in to Sage 300. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to focus on procure to pay. And really the question here is, are you interested in taking the standard purchase accounting functionality within Sage 300 and creating a true purchase management solution that includes clear visibility on all of the activities and the people involved in your purchase processes, approval workflows to ensure that purchases are being approved at the right level within the organization by the right people, and having that auditable at some future date so that people can go back and look at what was done, when it was done, and by whom. And that's essentially what Resource Manager provides for you within the Sage 300 environment. So as we've talked about, the employee portal links directly into the backend application. And that integrates, as we say, directly into Sage 300's database. And so we do that through what's called a web portal. This web portal integrates and authenticates the users with an ID and a password, and we use things like single sign-on in the Windows Active Directory services to allow us to control who has access and at what level within the application. And you'll see there's a number of other security routines that are supported within the application and customization capabilities so that you can modify the background picture that you see there on the employee portal, which is how they log in to authenticate themselves, which then gives them the ability to access information from Sage 300 without logging in to Sage 300 and conduct activities. Now, in addition, once we've logged in, you'll see a list of the functions that we can work on within the Resource Manager web portal, and our focus today is the purchase requisitions and AP invoice requisitions. And it incorporates mobile applications as well. So when you license a user for the employee portal, you also get free access to native mobile apps, whether they be Android, Apple iOS, or Windows 10, 11. And this gives you the ability then to use either a mobile app or a web portal to submit and approve these purchase transactions. And they're not mutually exclusive. You could have an employee submit their purchase request through the portal, and the manager could access her mobile phone and do the approval through the Resource Manager app. And it's predicated on using a sophisticated workflow engine where people can start by submitting the document, and it automatically gets routed to the appropriate person within your organization. And notice the box at the bottom, the conditional branch. What that's referring to is the ability for you to establish your own business logic as part of the workflow approval process. So in other words, you might have a dollar value threshold under which you don't need approvals. And then at higher dollar value thresholds, you need more approvals. So you build those conditions into the workflow engine so that the documents get routed to the appropriate person at the appropriate level based on their authority. This could also be used to departmentalize the purchase process, where purchase transactions go to the department manager that's involved in the departmental expense. And that way, only people that need to see the document actually get involved in the workflow process. And ultimately, once you have a fully approved document, it updates the transaction directly into Sage 300. And there's the back-end application. We configure these workflow approvals, email alerts, and all of the people that are involved in the transaction processes in the back end of Sage 300, which is where we do all of that configuration, as I've mentioned. And then this back end application is your link to the mobile app or to the web portal. So Resource Manager, as an overall highlight, if we can just keep clicking there, we support web and mobile employee portals with seamless integration to Sage 300, including a robust workflow engine and the ability to attach supporting documents to support the transactions and the review process for approvals. So here's an overall view of all the different Resource Manager functions that we saw in that previous schematic with the integration into Sage 300. And there's a number of different options that you have here, and you pick and choose which applications you wish to use. So this really creates a platform for remote access and workflow approvals for the people that are working within your organization, whether they be in the office or remote. And as we talked about, the focus for Procure to Pay is raising a purchase request, using a request for quote from your supplier, where you can choose the criteria for how you're going to pick which vendor you're buying from, which then generates your purchase order. You receive the goods, which is your PO receipt, and then your PO invoice, and ultimately the payment through accounts payable. And that can be all built around a workflow process that's fully integrated into Sage 300 and or Sage Accounts Payable. And so when you have that requirement for quoting, purchasing, and receiving, all of that can be incorporated into the workflow process in Resource Manager. You'll see how we integrate staff members and their managers, which then can go to a purchasing agent, get the approval at a finance and general management level, and ultimately ensure that all of these transactions are properly routed for approval within your organization. So next up, we want to talk about capturing AP invoices through optical character recognition, or OCR technology. We're going to be uploading invoice files from a document directly into the employee portal so that you don't have to enter these AP invoices manually. We also have this for PO invoices now as well. So you notice the OCR tasks is highlighted. What we do is we use a scanned document or an email. We can actually go and take an email inbox and go out and grab the documents from email or from a scanned network folder and start uploading these into the system. And as we select the documents that we want to upload, it will present a list that uploads, and you can upload up to 100 files at one time. So if it's a scanned document like a PDF, we would pick up that document, click on that document, and it would start the process to confirm and recognize that invoice document. And once we've captured that document, you'll notice that it starts the recognition and then feeds that directly into the employee portal for Resource Manager. So there's the document. It's got the OCR scan. It recognizes the document, highlights the field that it's been able to read. And if there's anything that it can't read, because it's a machine learning process where you're teaching the system how to learn how to read different vendor invoices, it will display what's been captured and what needs to be filled in. And then the next time it will remember that and make sure that it captures all of that information. So once it's captured, you start to see all the invoice details, your distribution codes within AP, the GL account that you want to distribute the expenses to, are all being validated as part of the document scan and the recognition process. And then as it's picking up all of those details, it will then be able to attribute that as a full AP invoice transaction and capture that as an AP invoice requisition within Resource Manager. And the confirmed status confirms that there are now no errors. It's picked up all the appropriate information, been properly validated, and is ready to be submitted for approval. And there's the list of documents that appear now as an AP invoice requisition within Resource Manager. And then you see all of the accounting details that are required, where you can add an attachment. It looks at the terms code and the taxes, and it's reading all of this from within Sage 300. And then we hit the submit button on the bottom right, and it now gets approved and updated into Sage 300. The last part of our presentation is just a quick review of the Manager Console. The Manager Console is the ability for your supervisors or managers who are not necessarily involved in the approval process, being able to see all of the activities and the documents being submitted and approved within Resource Manager's portal before they get updated as transactions within Sage 300. It gives the manager the ability to edit the filter for how they want to see the data. It creates a tab that they can put their own description in. And once the filter's been added with the description that they want, it gives them the ability to sort and select what types of documents they see and what kind of information gets displayed through the Manager Console. So this is a great way for managers to be able to see what's happening within the organization without having to talk to people or send emails They can see all of the information, including the audit trail, who's been approving and supporting documentation through the links that are provided in this manager console. So you can create a more automated and streamlined process with document attached in order to make your organization more efficient. So this is the end of this session. I appreciate your time very much. There's a norming.com website where information is available. You can also email myself, which will also be available at the end of the session today. Effie will have that contact information, as well as, of course, reaching out to your Equation Technology contact. Thank you very much.